Welcome back to InfernoCon. If you're just joining us, we have a full day of programming. Hopefully you've caught some of the first panels that we've had earlier today. This one is basically going to be introducing you, if you are not familiar with, the Galactic Academy, which I like to kind of refer to as a junior division of the 501st Legion, but they are their own club, just geared towards younglings, I guess would be the in-universe way to put it. Anyone who is 17 or younger. So we want to make sure to remind you that all the programming today is helping to raise awareness of the 501st Legion's Make-A-Wish Endowment Fund. So we have a little QR code right on our screen as you're watching this that you can point your phone to, and it'll bring you right to the page where you can make a donation. Or you can also go to our Make-A-Wish site, which is wish.org/501st-fan to make a donation there as well. So be sure to check that out if you've enjoyed some of these panels so far. So as I said, this panel is about the Galactic Academy. It's titled, As Did Your Father Before You, Star Wars is a Family Affair. This, like the 501st Legion, the Galactic Academy was founded by Albin Johnson. So that's a
not hearing it now.
Pretty neat tie-in that we have there. So to start, I thought we would do some introductions so that you can find out who we have on our panel today. I'll start with myself. So I'm Nikki Blum, DZ8397 from Garrison Excelsior. My costume is a Jawa. Excuse me. I joined the 501st Legion in 2006. My husband is also in the 501st Legion as a stormtrooper. He joined a couple years before me, I believe. And our kids, who are now 18 and 15, have pretty much been costuming since my daughter was born. So like at least the past 15 years. They started out with, the kids' Ruby's Star Wars costumes that you can just buy off the shelf until they got old enough to handle the full masks. And then all three of us went around as Jawas, which was a total blast. Now my son, who's 18, outgrew his Jawa. So he troops primarily as Inferno Squad Gideon Hask. So he's looking forward to upgrading that to become 501st for real. And in addition, I am the principal for the Galactic Academy School in New York called Bardos, which is another Inferno tie-in, which is kind of funny, being Inferno Con and Inferno Squad. Bardos is the planet for that. That's featured in that game. So that's me. So I'm gonna go around kind of in the order on my screen, at least, to make it easier. George is next.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name's George Maldonado. This is my daughter, Violet. I'm the principal of the Galactic Academy School here in Georgia called the Ryloth School. We've been 5 years as a school here. I've been 5 years a member of 501st and Rebel Legion as well. My primary costume is a stormtrooper, but I do have a Tusken Raider, which I definitely am leaning towards more these days just because of the comfort levels there. And I'm going to be working on a Rebel Spiker Scout as well here in the next coming weeks too, to match, because I've gone into the droid world, Nikki. And,
nice.
We have a chopper as well, 3D printed chopper. So he's here at the convention wreaking havoc. And so it'll be a great pairing. I figure out, I'll hang out with Chopper and, we'll mix it up. But yeah, we've been having a blast. We're here at a convention, so sorry for the noise if anybody's getting some background noise. And I'm really excited to be here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. So Violet, what's your costume?
Yeah, I am Steph First Excellence Watch from season 7. It was just like a random idea that I had, like just out of nowhere. I saw it online and I was like, you know what? I've watched an episode. I should do it. So I did. It's literally like my favorite paint job so far of it, because I've had this armor for like 5 years, like at least. And I've gone through so many different kinds of paint on it, and just I like it now. But I've been in since he joined. I used to be a Jawa for briefs, and just did jaw and I did another one. And what's called next, I'm gonna try and also do Micro Scout, like matching the Rebel Micro Scout. And my dream earlier, that's I'm gonna figure out how to size it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, and then the Browns.
Hi, I'm Amanda. This is Jessie.
Hi.
I have an officer costume, and my husband's the one who collects multiple costumes. And then Jessie has.
I am an Imperial Cadet from Rebels. Specifically, I am the green one, the one who's kind of mean.
Okay.
He used to be Jawa until he outgrew that one.
And
So
before that, I was a stormtrooper.
we did at one point got some crafts foam and made a stormtrooper costume
I still have the helmet.
when he was like 3 or 4.
All right, and then Chris.
Hi, Chris Brooks, a member of Inferno Squad here in Garrison Tyrannus. I'm also the principal for the Galactic Academy School here in Virginia, and for the Galactic Academy Club, I'm the CO. I troop mostly as a stormtrooper or Darth Nihilus. I joined the 501st 5 years ago now.
And you had a similar problem to me in trying to wrangle our kids to come in front of the camera, right? Yours are at work today, and
Yep.
mine have other things going on. So we're gonna have to rely on Violet and Jessie to give us the kid perspective. So we got all the intros out of the way. So I wanted to go back to Chris again and sort of give us just an overview of what the Galactic Academy is all about. I kind of touched on it, but expand.
Sure. Yeah. The Galactic Academy is about 11 years old now, going on 12 years. We're quickly approaching 6,000 cadets worldwide. It grew from the 501st and members of the 501st who wanted to troop with their kids and give their kids the opportunity to be a part of a club, which I think is awesome. So we are all about getting the kids involved as much as they want to be involved. And we will help in whatever way we can to support that. We're in close to 60 countries now. Most states in the US have a local organization. And there are no costume requirements to join. Any kid that wants to be a part of it can sign up or have the parents sign up online and get a certificate and be part of the club. There are kid-friendly events, and there are events that aren't necessarily kid-friendly, and we have to kind of manage that at every local level. Let's see. Hoping to have a t-shirt run done early in 2022. That's exciting for everyone I know, because it's something we've been wanting to do for a while. And just like with all of the adult groups, the kid group has kind of shut down during COVID, and we're only now really starting to open back up and see events happening. And super excited to see you guys, especially Violet, out there right now.
Yeah.
Trooping at an event. That's awesome. I love it. That's definitely the favorite part of my job, is the fact that I'm a part of dozens of kids groups all over the country or all over the world now. And like every day I wake up and see new things that kids have done for their communities all over, and anything that we can do to help get those kids involved is awesome, and we fully support it.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories to relay when I'm talking to people at a convention or whatever about the Galactic Academy is there's no costume requirements. You can do whatever your skill level is. There's definitely a place for you. I remember the story of the parents who researched the specific blanket that the baby Luke and Leia were in when they were handed over, to Aunt Beru and the Queen on Alderaan. And they found that blanket, and that was their Galactic Academy submission photo, and they were a new board member. So
Love it.
yeah, that was just hilarious to me. but obviously as the kids grow older, like we were talking about, everyone kind of outgrows their Jawas and starts delving into sort of more complicated costumes. And then, we'd love to have all the Galactic Academy members become alumni and then 501st Legion members. So that's kind of our path to that. So we can't stop them from getting older, unfortunately.
Yeah, tell me about it.
One of the hardest things is keeping them to fit in a costume.
Yes. And I think one of the schools was trying to set up something sort of a round robin of costume hand-me-down stuff. So I don't know if that might just have been a local school was doing that, but that's definitely a solution because they grow too fast.
Yeah, I know his first Jawa had a growth pleat in it, and then I had to add some extra fabric to it.
Yep, my oldest son's stormtrooper armor. We left a lot of room to grow in that thing, and he still outgrew it.
Yeah, I think we had 4 different sized Jawa costumes, and we just kept like trying to shuffle them up, the ladder, so to speak. I think I finally ended up with like the smallest one in the end, which was kind of sad. But then there was another, younger boy. He wore it for a while until he outgrew it, and then it came back, into our rotation, and so we'll make it work. Anything so that the kids can get out there and have fun.
Yep.
So speaking of costumes, I guess my first question would be if you had a dream costume to work on that's not something you already have in the works, what do you think that you would make? Violet, you want to start?
For me, I'm a big Clone Wars fan, as you can tell. I probably want to do like a Republic Commando or like an Alpha, because they're super cool. I've done a lot of research into figuring out how to size it properly, like the program armor people use to size it on the 3D printer. Because but that's like one of my goals. It's something I'm gonna actually start investigating.
Nice. So you're going to try to 3D print the armor? Very cool.
Awesome.
Jesse, what do you think you want to do next?
I would say I've always been interested in the clone era, so maybe one of the heavy clones with the big Z16 rotary blaster.
Nice.
I've always been interested in those.
Yeah, I remember first seeing those in the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, the short Clone Wars cartoons that came out before the current animated one. That was the trooper that caught my eye with his big.
Yeah, I've read the comics and I've watched the thing on Disney.
Nice. That does seem to be your guys' generation, like go-to, I think, is the Clone Wars. For probably the older people in this room, it's classic, trilogy. That's what we grew up with. But Clone Wars is definitely, it has so much mythos that they put into it in such, short format episodes. And then, like you said, also the comics as well. So very cool. So do the adults, you guys want to share some of your dream costume builds maybe? I guess, Chris, did you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to do Darth Vader, but just hasn't been in the cards. But I think one that going along with these guys, like the clone commandos just look awesome. Like that would be such a fun build to do.
George, you have anything you'd like to do after the ones you already listed?
Yeah, I mean, again, the Rebels Biker Scout is definitely the next one that I got. I mean, if I can drop 40 pounds, it'd definitely be C-3PO. But 40 pounds, I'd have to get cut in half or at least lose an arm and a leg. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm not banking on it. But C-3PO would be epic, right? I mean, it's like one of those, that's like the show stealer. He walks in and everybody's like, out of the way, it's 3PO. So 3PO would be cool. Chewbacca would be cool, I think, as well. And yeah, those are probably the top three, but I don't think 3PO is anytime in the future, though. It's just in my head.
I say to put another little seed in your head, there's actually a member in my garrison who is making an animatronic C-3PO statue to interact with my R2 and Chopper. So
That's awesome.
you know, although it might not be a costume, it's still sort of like a fun aspect to bring to a convention. So
Yeah, that's definitely something.
so far he's only gotten the head done, but I'm watching his builds with great anticipation.
That's super cool. That's super cool. It's crazy the amount of talent that's out there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Amanda, did you have a costume you'd like to do in the future?
I mean, I'm not as much into the armor. I kind of like a little bit more mobility and being able to see. But I think that I really liked the Jen Urso costume. Like, I know she was just one movie, but yeah,
Didn't do one of those, but it didn't fit.
that's a long story, but yes. There was an attempt. Maybe another day there will be another attempt.
Yeah, so the other Jen Urso costume you could do is when she's whatever that costume is, where she has the sticks to, like, what is that? Like a flight technician, I think.
The landing person.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. But yes, so she wears that with and without the helmet. So it would kind of be a somewhat armored costume, but she also wears it without the helmet. So
Yeah.
all right, what else? So the next thing I wanted to ask everyone is your favorite event when you've gone out trooping with the Galactic Academy, or, you know, joint event, 501st Rebel Legion. Start with George and Violet again.
I just got into cosplay recently, like again. So again, like a Joe, I was not like into it, but with this, I got back into it. Anyway, favorite event so far, we did what was it? Like a David Santa parade a couple weeks ago, and that was so cool. Like I was trooping, and one of the guys, like on the mic, was like, "It's Boba Fett with reindeer antlers." And I laughed so hard. It was so great. But that is probably like my favorite thing. Like it was so nice.
Yeah, we recently did a holiday parade, and it was her first parade. It was small, just a local city, but we got the holiday flare out and threw some flashing antlers on her head. But it was pretty funny, you know, right? It's every Mandalorian is Boba Fett, so the guy literally is like, "Boba Fett with reindeer ears. Where did you see that?" And I just started laughing, of course, because, you know, it's just that happens, right? But, you know, I think for me, it's really, you know, when we started the Galactic Academy here in Georgia, we had these Boo at the Zoo events. You know, it's the Halloween at the local city zoo here in Atlanta, and that was really the first like get together for the Galactic Academy. Like we wrangled all the kids up, and it's like we're gonna have, you know, it was a week, a series of 4 days, 2 weekends, and so we picked one that was going to be the Galactic Academy Day, and we put the APB out and got all the kids involved, and, you know, that's a picture that I still have that I go to with, you know, even her just in, you know, 5 years ago, half her size, all lined up. And, you know, we do it every couple of years. It's like, you know, as that, obviously, as you mentioned, you know, the pandemic really slowed things down, but as that event kicks back in, it's like, yeah, let's get the kids back out and kind of celebrate that, you know, anniversary, that first time get together thing. So that's always the most memorable for me, the first one.
I'm jealous of you guys living a little south of me. You can do parades during the winter. Like, we're not going out in the snow up here, so we don't get to do too many holiday parades. So that sounds fun to be able to put all that flair on and whatnot. Yeah, we have a Zubu type event up here too, which is great. I have to like restrain myself from, you know, scaring all the little kids that come up that are already wearing Star Wars costumes. I'm like, "Hey, do you know about the Galactic Academy?" Like, okay. Don't want to scare them off.
Right.
So, Jesse and Amanda, what's your favorite events to troop?
I would say I like the Reston Holiday Parade, which was actually not that long ago. The Thursday after Thanksgiving.
Friday, the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We do it just about every year, and this year we added something new. We added a float, and where I stood on the front, and I had a Hoth chocolate stand.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, so we've been doing the Reston Parade for, I want to say 10 or 11 years now. And yeah, he started it in the Jawa, and he would get so mad because they'd call him an Ewok.
Oh.
So mad about that.
But yeah, this year we had a little Hoth chocolate stand for him. I think one of the troops that really stands out to me is, it was years ago, because it was at Toys R Us back when they were open. There was a Toys for Tots troop. So participating in that, and then a local business had donated money. So, getting to watch all these stormtroopers go and pick out these toys for kids that would be donated, thanks to this local business.
I feel like I remember that.
You were probably 4 or 5, but maybe 3. But yeah, that was a really cool event. So I guess the ones around the holidays probably stand out the most.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I'm partial to any event where I can bring my kid along. I think one of my favorites was a parade that we did that Jesse and Amanda were there for a couple of years ago for a cancer survivor. Those are kind of the big ones that stick with me. My favorites were always the hospital troops. We get to, visit kids in hospital, and not just the kids, the faculty and staff that are working their butts off. Bring some smiles. Those are awesome. And really any of the events where the kids just get to hang out with other Star Wars fans, and then they just kind of meet each other and figure out what other things they're all into, and the parents are in the background thinking, I don't know what any of this stuff is, and the kids are just talking about all their favorite things and meeting new friends, and that's fun to watch. Yeah, those are my favorite.
My favorite troop is we visit the Strong National Museum of Play up here in Rochester, New York. And as the name implies, it's basically just all aspects of play, children's museum. And it started out when my kids were younger. It was more of a museum where they had glass cases full of toys, usually old toys. And as they've grown older, they've sort of phased out a lot of the display stuff and made a lot more interactive play things, which has been awesome. But they have like this little sci-fi convention that they put on every year, and we are the biggest costuming group in this city. So even though they have like a Ghostbusters and Doctor Who and Star Trek, we kind of dwarf them all, and it's pretty much a lot of Star Wars. But it's awesome because all the kids come out in their little Jawas and just like chatter at each other, and it's just hilarious. And like you were saying, behind the scenes in our dressing room, they'll all talk to each other, get out their switches, and play with each other and make a whole bunch of new friends. And since we're basically Southern Ontario, Canada, way up here, we're basically on Lake Ontario, so the Canadian Garrison usually always comes down for this event. And it actually prompted us to try to add a little more French to our vocabulary, because some of the kids that were coming down, French is their primary language. And obviously English was ours, and they were trying to learn English. And so we tried to learn French. And I just thought that was like fascinating. They didn't actually need to talk to each other to play with each other, but they were interested in learning, each other's languages. So it was just great. That's my favorite troop. Let's see, what else did I want to ask you guys? So one thing I'm curious about, especially for Violet and Jesse, is like, how did you get introduced to Star Wars? Who introduced you to Star Wars? Did you find out about it, by yourself? Were you forced into it by your parents? How did it work?
For me, since I was born, my parents
He was
got
born
right into it. Right in.
Just sort of one of those osmosis things. You're just probably surrounded by Star Wars.
I am. You should see our basement.
I think Jesse was 1.5 or 2 when my husband first joined the 501st. So,
I mean, I've always been fascinated by the fact that massive ships gliding through space and blowing each other up. I mean, I don't know. Something about that is incredible.
Yeah, my son's always been fascinated by all the different starships as well. He's like recreated them in Minecraft. He'll recreate them in, there's like another building game that he has, and
Scrap mechanic?
Star something.
Star.
I don't remember what it's called. See, Connor, if you're watching this, I told you to come on the show and help me out here. So
yeah,
how
and
about,
yesterday he was building his Lego advent calendar pieces and comparing how the X-Wing and what was yesterday's?
The Imperial Light Cruiser.
They were not accurately to scale.
The X-Wing was, I think, just a bit longer than the Light Cruiser. And you had to hold the Light Cruiser up to your eye and put the X-Wing just around at the end of the table to get it to scale.
that is tough with those little mini replica versions. Yep. They take a lot of liberties, I'm gonna say. How about Violet? Do you remember when you first got into Star Wars?
Yeah, I was like 4 or 5, I'd say, and my dad should be. It's one of the prequels because he's a big fan of the prequels. Don't know why, but and I just instantly like an instant like attraction. I've been into it ever since. I've gone through Transformers, Voltron, all that stuff with Star Wars. It's just stuff. It's been really fun. Something I will geek out over and talk about for hours. Like I literally have conversations about old Republic War with people for 4 hours of just straight nonsense talking about it, and I don't get tired. It doesn't work. It's one of those things I'll never get sick of because they introduced me to it, and I don't have a chance to get away from it. I'm literally surrounded by it. Like there's not a room in our house that does not have anything Star Wars in it.
Nothing Star Wars is nonsense.
It's good nonsense.
Definitely sense a theme there, though, with Voltron, Transformers, Republic Commando, and Heavy Mandos. You really seem to like that big armored look, huh?
Because I'm really taller than I am. Because commandos are 7 feet tall. So I'm getting stilts to do my commando. It's like I'm 5'1". I think it'd be nice to just tower over people. But yeah, with big bulky armor is fine.
So the only other person that I know that I guess I know multiple people that wear stilts for their Chewbacca's, but one person has commented that to him, it feels like rollerblading, trying to balance on the stilts. So if you're going to go after a stilt costume, maybe practice some rollerblading.
She had a stint in roller derby, so who knows? So funny.
So Chris, did you indoctrinate your children early on when they were younger?
Yeah, but my oldest son definitely picked it up through video games. I think, we had a Nintendo 64, way back when he was really little, probably 14 or 15 years ago, and he was playing Star Wars Pod Racer on that, and like we were, and that was probably when we started watching the movies, I think. And he's always been into costuming, and he definitely got me into the costuming.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I feel like I should have kept track of those kind of things, you know, like baby's first haircut, you know, first tooth. I should have wrote down like when they first watched Star Wars or something, but I didn't think to keep track of those kind of things. But yeah, now that you say with the video games, I know my son really got into the whole Lego Star Wars, all those games. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
the Lego ones were.
pretty sure I probably just had Star Wars, you know, playing in the background all the time. I'm not sure when we actually, you know, sat down to watch it as a film versus just background noise, so to speak. But that, and we also started them off with the Ewok and the droid cartoons, the classic animated shows there, because the newer animated stuff hadn't been out yet. So they really liked those as well. We watched a lot of 80s cartoons in general, I would say. Big Transformers fans over here too. So sort of touching on different stuff like the video games and comic books and whatnot, what would you say is like your favorite facet of the Star Wars universe? Like, obviously there's the movies, then there's all the book series, the new animated cartoons, and now TV shows, video games, or just, you know, collecting other merchandise. What would you say is your favorite part?
I would say for me, it's a tie between the games and the books. I have read as many of the books as I possibly could, and I'm holding my breath for all the new Star Wars games that are coming. The new Lego Star Wars game, I was so mad when they delayed that. I've been saving the codes from the Lego manuals to get different stuff in it. I love games. I love books.
Yeah, he's read a lot of the Timothy Zahn books that his dad has.
Nice. I'm so far behind on the books. I keep buying them and I'm like, someday I'll get to read this.
He has a little more spare time than we typically do.
Yeah. And there's so many comic books too to keep up with. Do you do any of the comic books or mostly just the novels?
I've read a lot of the old comic books, but I think I only own one of them. I don't really have many of the comic books. I wish I did. My mom tutors, so when I'd ask her to take me to the library where she tutored, and I'd head over to the comics and I'd find those, and for a couple hours, I'd just sit there reading them.
I know my son's recent favorite book has been that anthology series that I'm blanking on the name of, but it has like a whole bunch of little short stories in it that explain like these really obscure characters that you wouldn't think you need to know more about, but you absolutely needed to know more about them.
The like Tales of the Bounty Hunter, Tales of the Cantina.
They were newer ones. They've only.
Were they black books? I'm trying to think.
Yes, yeah, they had mostly a black cover with sort of all the authors' names on the front of it. Oh, I'm blanking on it. But it was awesome because you got to learn about like the mouse droid that you see scurrying around on the Death Star. And it's like, who knew that you needed to know more about this droid? But there's like a whole little short story about him.
And I just can't remember for the life of me what the name is.
Yeah. Well, they're good books. Anyone who's watching, write it down in the comments. Remind us what it's called. Definitely good. I think there's been 2 so far. They did one with stories, I think, surrounding like A New Hope, and then they just did Empire Strikes Back. I don't remember if there was a Clone Wars one or not, but they're very good because they're short. So, you know, if you don't have a lot of time to read.
From a certain point of view.
Okay, yeah, from a certain point of view. Yeah, so the stories are like from those minor characters' perspective. So it might be, you know, a scene you're familiar with, like Chewie scaring the mouse droid down the hallway, but now you're, well, how did the mouse droid feel about that? You know, it was fun.
Have you read that?
Yeah, Jeffrey Brown put in a page in there too. It's supposed to represent Tatooine, and it's got a cardboard box for it saying Rebel Base with the S backwards. And the Imperial officer saying, I don't think they're here. While the stormtroopers around.
Very clever. So I guess Violet, what do you think is your favorite kind of facet of all the varied things?
Lately, I used to edit Wikipedia articles, like just as a hobby. So that's my main thing. Like I love reading the little obscure lore facts, like stuff really no one knows about, I guess, or isn't like a widely known thing. Like I'm very in depth, like in my lore. I love learning about lore. I love learning about really obscure, like what's it called, like Commander Blue, his name. He's named after an alien species that lives on the edge of the known galaxy. They were super technologically advanced, and they were just kind of repressed themselves. Like I don't know how to describe it, but I found out about that and just got hooked on Legends lore since. So it's either that or the video games. Because like, I used to play Knights of the Old Republic all the time, Force Unleashed, Force Unleashed 2. We own like almost every Star Wars game known to man. So, and we always get the new ones whenever they come out. Most of the time, not disappointed. Except, and this might be a hot take, but Squadrons. Yeah, but honestly, just all like the big stuff more than the shows.
Cool. Yeah, we've unfortunately braced sort of the dark side of merchandising. So one of our favorite things is to go hunt down all the Black Series action figures and try to get those, and the different Funko Pops of the characters that we like. So that's one of our things, is to go after collecting. My son obviously plays a lot of the video games. That's where he got the idea to do the Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad armor, is playing all the video games.
Awesome.
My dad collects Legos. Our basement is full of Star Wars Legos. We don't even have enough room to display them all.
Yeah, us neither. We started off with a nice little shelf and, put up the ones we built. And then once that was full, we're like, okay, I guess the rest are just staying in their boxes for now until we find more room.
It's my Transformers collection right now. I started collecting them, and it's taken over my room.
Yep, it happens.
Sadly, I've become a bit of a Jawa, and let's just say most of my Legos are now in pieces. And
no.
Thankfully, I've gotten much better at keeping them together. So most of the ones I've gotten recently are now still together. So
Yeah, that was always my biggest fear with these giant thousands of piece sets. I'm like, please try to keep them together, because if they get mixed up, we're never gonna figure out how to separate them again. So Chris, how about you? What's sort of your favorite facet of the Star Wars life?
Yeah, I'm with Jesse. The books and the video games, and just how it's so much more than the movies, and they can take so many more liberties and like expand the story and the universe so much more. So you get all these characters with so much more depth, and the books especially, like just even the books for the movies that allow you to go in a little bit more in depth into the characters and why they're doing certain things and what they're thinking at the time. But yeah, that's I think the books saved Star Wars, and I think the video games restarted some things 20 or so years ago.
Yeah, 'cause for a long stretch of time, that was all there was for Star Wars fans to utilize, is the books and video games. How about George? What do you think is your favorite facet?
I mean, the movies are definitely the thing I go back to all the time, right? And it is all of them. It's not one, it's not three, it's all of them, Thank you, Disney Plus. Now you got Star Wars all the time, right? Animation, Star Wars Rebels, I mean, my wife is constantly eye rolling, like, really, again? And it's like just background, like Nikki, you said, it's just always going in the background. If you're not really just sitting there watching it and really just diving deeper. And, 5 years later, you're still like, I didn't even know that happened, right? And you've watched it for the 100th time. It's like, how did I miss that part, I really enjoy it. I'm not, while I do collect merchandise, I'm really specific with it. Like, it's got to be a character I really like, or, now a costume that I have, now I'm on the hunt for anything Biker Scout, right? So it's like, but I'm not paying $50 for a pop from, 2003. It's like, forget it. I'll just wait to find one in a garage sale or a tag sale or something. So I spend a lot of time doing that. So for me, it's like if I buy a piece of merchandise, it's really something that I really wanted, not just like, oh, cool, it's Star Wars, I need to have it, Because, yeah, my wife is definitely over Star Wars spatulas and Star Wars frying pans.
Or Baby Yoda Instapot.
Yeah, Baby Yoda Instapot was the recent one. She wanted the Instapot, right? Here you go. It's got Baby Yoda all over it. It still works,
Yeah. It's like my
all of it.
R2 waffle maker and
Right.
yeah.
Toaster, I saw Star Wars. I saw a Darth Vader Keurig or one of those instant coffee things. I'm like, do we need another coffee machine?
All right. So I think, where's my questions? Oh, so action figures. If you were an action figure, you could do it either as your costume character or as yourself. If you had an action figure of yourself, what accessories would you want to come in your little package? So I did this question earlier, and so I did it as my Jawa self. I would definitely need to have my R2 with me in my package, because I always like to troop with R2 when I'm a Jawa. And then my ion blaster, which I actually have to repair. It broke, so I can't troop with that right now, but I like having a prop. So that would be that. And then the other panelists actually did it as themselves, which I didn't think to do. So if I had a Nikki action figure, I'm not sure. Probably, good question. I should have thought about that more. They were doing their favorite beverage, so maybe I'd have to do Coke Zero. That's my favorite go-to caffeinated drink. And then maybe my podcasting mic, since I also do the 501st Cast podcast. That would be my other Nikki accessory. So I guess why don't we go with Jesse? Have you thought about what your accessories would be?
Oh, definitely. Think about this all the time. If I was gonna do it as my costume, I would definitely say a red lightsaber, like Ezra's lightsaber, but red, because I love the dark side. Let's just clear that now. I love it. I don't know what draws me to it, but fascinating. And I'd probably have to say one of those big homing missile rocket launchers.
All
If I was
right.
doing it myself, probably a headset and an Xbox controller. Let's go with that. I play games, especially if it's a Star Wars game.
So Amanda, what do you think about your action figure?
Caffeinated beverage
Yeah.
with his energy. I don't know. Beyond that, I haven't really thought about an action figure.
A math notebook, maybe.
Yeah, math notebook.
She's a math teacher.
One of my funny math shirts would be my apparel.
There you go.
How about Chris?
Yeah, I think either as my character or myself, there'd be a stormtrooper helmet with it. And definitely a Baby Yoda of some kind. Either way. Yeah, and again, I'm with Amanda on the coffee drink. There's some kind of coffee here.
How about Violet?
I had an action figure. I probably have to have I have this Grogu like a baby Yoda like figure. It's little. It's like this big, but I like carrying it around. I don't have it with me right now, so I'd probably have that with me. Or
Yeah, we all should get out
Or
our
like
baby
glasses.
Yodas.
oh yeah, or a Monster Energy, because I take those everywhere. Whatever you know, gonna get one. But caffeinated beverage.
How about George?
So I think non-costume George, I need smoke bombs and a grappling hook because I say some of the weirdest stuff and I just got to get out of there, right? It's like all of a sudden people are like, what did he say? And I'm like, bye. That was awkward and weird. Got to get out. So I would definitely want both of those guys in mind. So, you know.
Nice. Okay, I think our panel time is almost up, so we wanted to make sure to remind everyone who's watching that we're fundraising for the 501st Legion Make-A-Wish Endowment Fund with this programming. So if you've liked all the panels you've watched, and we got some more panels coming up, make sure to utilize either the QR code or you can go to wish.org/501st-fan and make a donation towards our endowment fund there. And speaking of panels that we have coming up, so after us will be the 3D printing panel. So I talked about that a little bit earlier when I was talking with the droid builders. So they're going to go more in depth of 3D printing in general, probably little droid, but also other things that you can use with your 3D printer. Then we have a panel at 5 Eastern about capital ships and their legacy. 6 is we'll show you the way we've been there before, which is a panel that is hosted by our Walking Wounded detachment. So that is our sort of support group for anyone who is battling any physical, emotional, mental sort of roadblocks, and they all help each other out with some support. And I know I have a member of my garrison who is in the Walking Wounded. She is legally blind, but if you were out seeing her troop in her biker scout at an event, you would never know. She has, adapted her costume and her trooping very well, and we all support her whenever she needs any assistance. Then at 7 is we bring action figures to life panel. So more about costuming and what goes on from bringing it from screen to an action figure in real life. And then we're going to close out at 8 o'clock with a holiday themed ending video. So make sure to check out all the rest of the programming. Thank you guys for coming out and telling us about the Galactic Academy and your trooping adventures.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Nikki.
This is so